What the fuck is up, Chodes? I'm doing the intro today. We got tired of James doing the intro. I know you got tired of James doing the intro, so it's my
Got
turn.
tired of doing the intro.
And James got tired of doing the intro. The intro's tired, so we're reinventing it with my intro of what the fuck is up, Chodes. We hope you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode, number 27?
26, I think.
26. All right, I'm confused because we pre-recorded another one.
Oh, true.
So 26. How you doing, James?
I am doing fantastic, aside from not having power all morning, but we're back.
What happened?
Dude, I don't know. So I was sleeping. I fell asleep probably around 12. I was hanging out with Casey and Habit in a VC, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go hit the convenience store real quick. And I got more of the vape pods, and then I got back home and I just like I got sucked into the movie that I had to put on in the background. And I started watching, then I passed out and I woke up and everything was I was pitch black. I have these blackout curtains that you can see in my video, and it was pitch black. Usually my little twinkly lights are on, or like there's like a light in the bathroom is on, like on the other side of my apartment, and there was no power anywhere. I woke up with my eyes closed basically. So I checked on PG&E, I checked on the app, and it was like, oh, power outage. The first complaint was at 3:30 this morning. Yeah. Yeah,
Yummy.
I know.
Yummy.
But
Okay.
I was thinking about it. So I was running a couple errands here, waiting for the power to get on because I also had to charge my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I would rather my power go out while sleeping than me being up in that VC last night, hanging out, and then all of a sudden my power goes out.
Well, yeah, I feel like that's a no fucking brainer though, isn't it? Because you're sleeping.
I mean, I don't know how many people actually think about it this way, but like I would just feel comfortable doing it because like I fell asleep with like the TV on, kind of like I normally do, like most people do.
Yeah.
And had I like being mid game, and whatever I'm doing on the computer, and then it just go out, and then I'm like, oh shit, like now what am I gonna do? Now I have to force myself to go to bed, whereas like I kind of just go off to sleep.
Yeah. 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 I get what you're saying. I guess we don't really think about that. I know, like every time, like, because I'm on my computer so much that if the power goes out, I'm like, why couldn't this happen when I'm asleep?
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep. And it's cool. I'm actually glad. You remember when my power went out because of the freezing rain? Probably.
Oh, that was like what, 6 months ago?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It had to been like November, last
Yeah.
November. No. It was actually no, just this like past like February, I think.
So how many months ago was that?
Well, February. What comes out? February, March, April, June, July.
Dude, I'm gonna be fucking honest, like straight with you. I don't know my months.
I don't know if I should be like concerned or legit upset, but no, you're actually pretty close. It was like 5 months ago.
Okay, I can tell you the two rules of thermodynamics why perpetual motion is impossible that we know of, but I cannot tell you the fucking months in order.
Wait, can you actually tell me the physics in perpetual motion?
Well, perpetual motion is not obtainable because of two rules in thermodynamics, and that is no source of energy can create more than it outputs. Like then you know what I'm saying? No energy source can create more energy than it can create. Like it can't make more than it outputs. And the second rule is that because of friction, it actually
Mhm.
takes more energy to move that whatever that item is. So therefore it's sucking in more energy and you're getting less out of the fucking item that is creating energy. So those are two rules. I explained it like shit, but like in my head I know, so you don't have to. I'm saving you the time.
Yeah, I'm like legit sitting here thinking about it, and it's like,
It's
well, if a
really
jet,
hard. Okay, it's really hard to fucking explain.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
thermodynamics is actually like
uh,
dummy stupid fucking hard to explain in a way that's like this happens, and that's why this can't happen.
yeah, like like an object of motion stays in motion until it's forced up against something else. Like I understand that. That's easy to understand, and I
It
feel
can't
like
create more energy than it outputs.
okay, so like a jet. See, I don't even know like
Like a
what.
generator. It makes, let's say it does
Oh,
75
okay.
watts, right?
Okay. Yeah.
It can't output more than 75 watts. That's
Yeah, that makes
impossible.
sense.
And
That's a really good way to put it.
yeah, and it actually makes less than 75 watts because of all of the shit inside of it that, like, heat is an energy absorber. So it's creating less energy than it actually outputs because of heat and friction.
So if you're supposed to be getting 75 watts out of a generator, it's probably producing like 73.
I don't fucking know.
I don't think that's right. But I do like
it's
the way you said that. That made it easy for me to understand.
yeah. So something like that, and I could be a little bit off with the second part because it gets really, really, really fucking like it matters in what you're talking about. It's like, oh,
Right, right.
this item, blah blah blah. Anyways, we're so off topic. I don't know the months. What the fuck is up? Um,
And you're not a scientist.
oh, dude,
You wish.
fuck, man, dude, I'm basically a scientist.
Well,
What do you mean? Well,
dude, we're just fucking podcasting YouTubers, bro. What do you mean? And
fucking. I looked up.
and
No,
hardcore
no. I looked
gamers.
up on Social Blade today. I looked this
Uh-huh.
up. You were scamming me out of $5, sir.
Who, me?
Yeah,
Why? What'd I do?
we have $5 in revenue.
Oh, do we?
I don't know. Social Blade says we have like 64 to $5 or some shit in revenue.
We have $3.66 according to the ad revenue from our Anchor ad read.
Yeah, no, it's Social Blade's YouTube.
Oh, all right. Let me see. I don't think so. We can't make money on YouTube though.
Yeah, no, okay. So I think we can make money. We just don't get paid out until 1,000 subs. I don't even know if we're allowed to talk about this.
Oh, why wouldn't we?
I don't know, because fucking YouTube's like, don't talk about your. Actually, that's bullshit because fucking Logan Paul's like, just spent $100K for my YouTube money on his chain.
Yeah, yeah. So even like Mr. Beast will put in his thumbnail like we spend $1 million on this.
Yeah, right. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, with Twitch, it's weird. Like when you're live streaming on Twitch,
You can't show
you're
your
not
creator dashboard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're allowed to talk about it, right? Like most
I
people
think
know
POS,
that.
you're not allowed to talk about how much you make.
Yeah. Well, everybody should know. Like now that we're not streaming on Twitch at this current moment, Twitch for all affiliates takes 50% of everything you make.
And it lets you know when you get paid out.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, oh wow, I made this much. Oh, I made this much.
And then it's funny because then a bunch of other people like put together a website that tells everybody like how many subs they have, and
Mhm.
although it's hard to understand like how much partners get paid, because I think if you're a big enough partner on Twitch, you can kind of work out your own contract for them.
Yeah, you get contracted by them.
But all affiliates will only get 50% of everything you spend with them. So just donate straight to their PayPal.
Yeah, donations are good. Subs are also, well, okay, subs are actually good, even though it's less money. It keeps the chat
Right.
interacted. Because
That is true.
they get subs, or they get emotes and shit and other benefits, like fucking ad free viewing and shit.
True. Well,
So-
let's while we talk about YouTube, bro, fucking happy 200 subscribers, sir. We made
200.
it.
Dude, we made it, dude. We can't collect money from YouTube, but we're at 200.
Dude, 204 subscribers.
I know. And did you notice after we posted our abortion video, we dropped some?
I didn't notice, no.
Oh, you didn't? Because we were sitting at 211, and once that video
Oh,
hit, it went
Oh my god, it's all your Gen Z people, bro, being sensitive.
Oh, shut the fuck up,
You're Gen
bro.
Z.
We're Gen Z. Well, yeah, we're sensitive
You're
about
Gen Z.
women's rights.
Your Gen Z conservatives, bro, are the ones
Bro,
that
what's up?
unsubscribed.
We're Gen Z conservatives.
No, dude, we're super fucking exciting though. I remember it was just, how long have we been podcasting for? Probably like 8 months now.
Somewhere
And I-
around like 29 weeks, because we skipped like 1 or 2 weeks.
Right, we did. So 29 weeks divided by 4. How many months is that?
Well, there's
Quick, do the
52
math.
weeks in a year.
Well, you don't got to do that much. You just divide it, right?
I was just saying it to be cool.
Yeah, but now I really want. What's 9 months?
I don't know how to do
28
math,
divided by
James.
4?
I don't know the fucking months
like
in
nine
order.
point-
I don't know how to do math.
It's like 9 months remaining. So many days. Anyway, dude, it's super awesome. And I honestly never would have thought, like, I know we're still super small time, but it's weird when I think about it because we not only have YouTube subscribers, but we also have like subscribers on Apple Podcast or followers, technically is what it's called on Spotify. And
Yeah.
we have people like tuning in every week there. We have numbers there. So it's almost like, yeah, we have 200 subscribers on YouTube, which think should be kind of celebrated. And Hyland asked me yesterday, real quick side note. He's like, are we going to do this every 100 subscribers? I was like, nah, I don't think we should. I mean, I think
No.
200 is like kind of a cool little celebratory spot. And then I was thinking about it this morning on my drive around while I knew I didn't have power. And I was like, well, we also actually have people that tune in every week to just the audio. So shout out to the audio only listeners as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out non-visual people.
Yeah. So in a way, we could all have like 250 subscribers. Who knows?
Yeah. 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 I mean, it is really cool to think about how we started from, okay, let's make a podcast.
Mhm.
Started at 0, and then just started making a podcast, and like people are actually listening. It's a weird feeling. It's like
You know
you're
what would be it is a weird feeling, and what would be cool to see is like now that we have all those subscribers is like I want to see some feedback, bro. I want to like
That's what I'm saying. That's the
I
only
want to
thing.
piss somebody off.
That's what I'm saying. But we didn't make it until people hate us.
Right, right, exactly. And we did get in the Only Scams and Hot Tub episode number 23, we got one dislike on our
But
video.
it takes 2 seconds. Like, they didn't hate us enough. I need them to
No.
harness their fucking hatred enough into typing a comment about how much they fucking hated our video, because then we
Yeah.
know they listened and they were passionately hating it.
Right. And if they knew, so I posted that video in the self promo channel in this girl who streams, and she's also an OnlyFans content creator. And I feel like it was either just her or one of her followers on her Discord that just disliked it just because. But because if they had listened to the entire thing, we don't give a shit how people make their money
No, we were
or
literally
sell their
sticking up
body.
for OnlyFans
Yeah,
content
yeah.
creators. That's what's funny about it. It's like, fuck it. I mean, possibly could have been that person who disliked it.
Yeah.
And, it just goes to show they didn't fucking listen to it because they just heard
Mhm.
OnlyFans and only scams and went dislike.
Yep.
And like, bruh, watch our video and hate us, please. We need numbers.
Well, let's stir the body even more.
Okay. let's do it.
It was probably somebody that was super sensible and from the Generation Z demographic of people because you guys are super fucking pragmatic.
I love how you're avoiding the word sensitive because I just told you it pisses me off. You could use the word sensitive. Like, all of these other words are just another way of saying fucking sensitive. Just
they're
say
just
it.
synonyms, right?
They're just literal synonyms that are like pragmatic's like a little more complicated, but it just means the same fucking thing in the end.
Generation Z is more pragmatic. See?
Yeah, like, get your pinky out of the air, Sir Cumsworth.
I'm gonna take a sip of my lychee crush.
Yeah, your
drink
lychee
with my pinky
crush.
up.
Oh my god, dude, you're fucking G Fuel in a can.
Mm-mm. This time it's just straight juice. It's actually real lychee and strawberry juice. It's really good. It actually tastes like perfume.
Yeah, and that's another thing is you millennials go through these weird food cleanses that you think are good for you. I'm gonna add another 10 years on your life.
Yeah. Like what?
Like Jenny fucking Craig, dude.
Yo, Jenny Craig was the generation before millennials, though. Hold on. Because
because I remember seeing her fucking ads. I remember seeing her ads as a kid and her destroying metabolisms of many young women.
when did Jenny Craig first come out? That was no, dude. It couldn't have been. That was like the 80s kids. What generation is that?
The
That was like
80s
early
kid?
80s.
That's
What came after boomers, bro?
you.
No, why, dude? I say this all the time when we talk about generations. Why couldn't we start with Generation A or like go
Okay.
from baby boomers and then go to A, B, C? Why are we starting at the bottom?
Okay, who the fuck knows? It's a weird human construct and concept that we made. But either fucking way, you come after boomers.
I know there's got to be I thought there was one right after that. I'm pretty sure, right?
Well, I don't know. You can look it up. I'm pretty sure it's millennial, and then there's fucking Gen X,
Let's see. We're gonna figure this out right
Because
now.
Gen X overlaps with millennial. Millennials first, and then it's Gen X. But Gen X overlaps in the end of where the millennial would be, I think. Because me and my mom were just talking about this today. So like she's in between, so she's a zennial.
Well, okay, look, according to your mom's probably right. According to careerplanner.com, baby boomers, they had to have been born between 46 and 64. Then Generation X, which is in parentheses the baby bust generation, which
Okay.
was between 65 and 79, and then your mom coming in with the Xenials between 75 and 85.
Yeah, because she was in '78, so that's
Yeah,
how she's in the
exactly.
middle.
Yeah, so there it is. That 65 and 69 was the generation I don't think anybody really even knows. We'll just call that like the Coke era.
Yeah, no.
That's Generation X, and then we go to Xenials and then Millennials because I think we were growing up during like the millennium, right?
Yeah. Okay, so there is one before that. You are correct.
Yeah, no, and I never knew until just now. And then we're gonna have Generation Z, which is between 90. When were you born, right? In
2000.
2000. That's right. Yeah. So you were Gen Z, and then
Unfortunately.
Gen Alpha is 13 to
What the
25.
fuck is Gen Alpha? I didn't even know
Yeah.
that existed.
Yeah. Why and why do they get to
Yo,
start at the top of the fucking alphabet?
what the fuck? Okay, no. Why did they get the name Alpha? Like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
it? They should be Gen Beta, dude. They're cucks.
that is 100% factual.
Dude, oh my god, what are these 13-year-old
I
crack
don't.
Adderall kids playing fucking Fortnite going, Mom! Give me V-Bucks!
Cranking 90s, cranking 90s.
Fortnite.
Okay, so we had a discussion topic here that I think is super fucking is great, and the differences in between Hyland's generation and my generation, and I feel like we don't. I mean, if you listen to us, I think you can understand like our perspectives and where we lie, but we never flat out actually talk about like what are the differences or some of the differences between both of our generations.
Yeah.
And we were getting into a really like
We were
hot
getting fucking
talk.
heat, dude. Like I was like, shit. I'm actually kind of digging into James here, and he's digging into me pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were like, okay, fuck it. Let's just stop talking about it and we'll hit record and then we'll fucking get into it. And the first one, well, you know what? Let's go with let's save that one that we were just
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
And what were you saying about housing?
So, okay, well, this one's weird because like I was saying that maybe you didn't experience like the housing market being so fucked.
Hmm.
Even for renting, like renting's fucking impossible almost.
Yeah.
It's obscene. But at the same time, you were around for the housing market to be fucked, and you're still currently like, because you're still renting.
I am renting. Yeah.
And a lot of people at your age don't have a fucking house who live in any massive city.
In massive cities, no, I do. However, I do have
I
a
know
lot of
friends who
friends.
have it.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of friends that do own. But I think that's the difference in our generations, right? Like it's my generation specifically, like, yeah, we're all living in the same bubble
yeah,
or housing bubble where we're all kind of fucked. If you don't have a home, like we're fucked at it for a minute. But then the other side, like who get to take advantage of it, like the other half of my generation, a lot of my friends, like back in Arizona, for instance, they do own houses, you know, and then a couple friends out here who are also millennials also own houses. So it's like this weird mix
yeah.
of, you know, but
Well, it's either like the only people I know who own fucking houses at my age
mhm,
are fucking content creators making money out the fucking bum. Like even the kids who make like my buddy who makes like 35 an hour, 40 an hour doesn't own a
yeah,
fucking house because he can't afford to have a house here because the starting price of a house of where I live is $730,000.
Jesus.
That's the base price. That's the average price of a house in the city.
The
So
average cost in Portland, Oregon. I mean, I live in the greater Portland area, but in Portland, Oregon, the average home is about $540,000.
which is USD, which will come out to just about 700 fucking thousand, I'm sure
Right.
Canadian.
Uh-huh.
So it's not that different. Um,
Yeah. Well,
so
and I
like,
also don't think that there's like a stress into buying homes. Like I know that the fucking mayor, the governor out here, she wants to push multi-family dwellings, which is like she wants to
It's a
she wants
duplex, isn't it?
well, just like in like she wants to like apartments, like she wants to build up. So like apartment buildings, yeah, sure, condominiums, which I guess you can own, right? But like
Yeah,
I
but
think
they
she
still
wants to
cost an arm
push
and a fucking leg to own.
right, right. But I think she wants to build up and put all of the property tax onto the homeowners. And it seems in a way to where she wants to put it on them because like they have the home. Whereas like I
Mm.
think if she could mow those homes over and build up like more apartment complexes or townhomes like in their own little complex, I think that's the way she'd want to do it because there are a lot of people who cannot buy homes, you know,
Yeah, yeah, like they're just
which is fucked up.
there's no way. Like I think, well, my one friend who I mean he went in insane bankruptcy when he did this, but he purchased a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom apartment for $330,000. That's a fucking apartment. That's like 1,000 square foot apartment.
He bought an
300.
apartment?
Yeah,
So like a condominium, right?
he bought the room
Oh, no shit.
for 330 grand. Yeah, he sold it for like
Jeez.
450. So
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. So but it's kind of just like what? How is 1,000 square feet equivalent to a house almost in
I,
price?
I don't think they're looking at it as like
No, they're
equating it
not.
to the price. I think it's more like you're owning it at this point. It's like either you own or you don't own.
I
I don't
know.
think they, you know,
Oh, okay. Actually, one thing that maybe differs is fucking well, maybe not, but the whole like why the fuck would you rent? Like I've heard a lot of people in their 30s and 40s go, "Why the fuck why are you renting? You're wasting your money." Like
that's a fact.
I like okay, yeah, you are wasting your fucking money, but like you don't have a fucking $30,000 down fucking payment to just blow. I don't have
Yep.
30 grand to just even do that,
Yep.
let alone pay for the apartment itself.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's one I
You know,
hear a lot.
it's so weird, man. Like there are people like a lot of my friends in Arizona, although I don't really talk to them, I kind of like I see what they do for work and either they get a hell of a fucking loan, like a
Yeah.
mortgage, and they get it written out a certain way and put, you know, a few $1,000s down and then have X amount in their mortgage every month. But then there's those other ones that, you know, they get married and they could have saved quite a bit. Like I was just thinking about it this morning while taking a shower under the LED lights that I had to put on because I didn't have power. And I was thinking, if I were to save for an entire year, and obviously outside of my expenses, like my normal expenses like
Mhm.
gas, my utilities, and you know, et cetera, I could probably save in a year comfortably like 20 grand.
Right. But
And
that's barely a fucking down payment.
that's I think that's an average down payment for a
Yeah.
home. And I guess I'm no, that's like an average down payment for like 2010 maybe, you
Yeah.
know, if I were to buy in
Yeah.
2010. So yeah, you're probably right, is, you know, 30,000 is probably a sweet spot to hit. Which I think I probably could hit close to 30,000 if I were to just save, and I don't think there's enough. Well, it's weird, right? Like there's not enough stress on saving, but at the same time like half of my generation and most of your generation isn't making the money enough money to be able to
They can't
save,
fucking
right?
save. There is no
Yeah.
at minimum wage, I can barely afford one paycheck is rent at minimum wage at 40 hours a week here.
Yeah, that's my rent every month after utilities comes out to close to $1,300. That's rent and utilities combined.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, that's not.
mine's 725 to 750, but that's split three ways. Like as in like it's like 2,100 a month for the entire
Oh,
apartment.
geez. Yeah, that's like if you wanted to rent a 3 bedroom, 2 bath home out here, you're paying between $2 and $2,500
Yeah,
US dollars,
that's 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom.
which is kind of crazy. But that's like, you
It's
know,
not
like we
bad. It's
do.
but that's the average.
No, I mean it's kind of it's terrible.
It is
Because I think
terrible.
most people, like most single people in general, yeah, they don't have the money to, yeah, drop on a house or, get a home, and then without a huge down payment, they're not going to be able to pay, the $2,000 mortgage that they have. But if I were to save, let's say minimum 20 grand by the end of the, or by this time next year, I could probably have a mortgage of right around $1,000,
Yeah, no, you
which
definitely you could.
then will come out to about $1,200 after utilities, which is totally fine and I can afford that. But I'm owning, and I'm basically investing into my own home by owning the home, right? Because of
Yeah,
property value and
yeah, of course. And like, yeah, you get to go sell it and you get to take the money,
Mhm.
but at the same time, then you're paying realtor fees, which are fucking insane.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what are they, like 10% of your fucking house or apartment or whatever?
I don't need.
Whatever they charge. I remember my parents paid out the fucking ass for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I don't know. It's ridiculous. You can barely fucking live off of minimum wage. But yeah, no, that's the one thing I noticed was just like, just buy the house. Stop renting your waste. Well, thanks, Karen. Thank you. I didn't know that this fucking 750 coming out of my bank account every month was fucking going where? Like
To the bank.
to keep the lights on? Yeah, thanks. I know I have to pay it every fucking month. Oh, thanks. Like
Yeah.
if I owned, I'd have to pay property tax. If something
Right,
broke,
right.
I'd have to pay for it myself.
Yep,
Like
definitely.
just because you bought your fucking property in 19 fucking 42.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. You had one that was interesting, and I'm looking at the time, and we might need to get it started.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, I think there is a difference between the comedy likings between Generation Z and millennials, and this is kind of the heated discussion that Highland and I were talking about because of what we find funny or what we find appropriate in a comedic sense. So like, and specifically we're talking about like professional comedians or those who are, comedians. Like it's weird to
Yeah.
say professional because
Well,
like,
they're making a living off of it. It's a profession.
yeah,
That's
there you go.
that's it.
That's a good way to say it. So like for instance, Bobby Lee, he had an act or an opener or a feature act that opened before him, and this comedian is gay, and upon Bobby Lee presenting this guy, he's like, "Give it up for, the F word," so like the gay F word slur
Yeah.
that you would say, and he said, "Yo, give it up for the." It's
It's
hard
hard
to
to say,
fucking.
dude.
Yeah, because I don't want to say it and then like get fucking shadow banned on YouTube. But he
Yeah.
said the F word, the F slur towards like
You
the
can
gay
guess what it
community.
is. It's not hard.
Yeah, you already
Yeah.
know. And I said that because in that comedic aspect where these two guys they know each other and they're just trying to be funny. I totally think that's acceptable, and Highland I think agrees with that,
I
right?
agree with I agree with the context. Like the person, they knew each other. They're at a comedic show. They're
Uh,
two professional comedians.
yep.
They understand, and there's context behind it rather than just straight out fucking calling somebody that in an act or in a
Hmm.
comedic bit, like specifically somebody.
And then
And
there was another one where Tony Hinchcliffe basically called his opener, who is Asian, the G word that ends with a K. So it
yeah,
sounds like ook, but with the G.
yeah, I'm
And
sure,
you
sure
can probably put,
it's a little less in your face, but I'm sure you guys know it.
and they're all slurs and they're all highly inappropriate if you were to just go say it to somebody,
Right.
walking down the street or, somebody that you didn't know. But these two guys know each other and there's comedians. But we're basically what I wanted to bring up was like certain comedy, I feel like Gen Z doesn't find funny, whereas millennials, like, although there are more sensitive type millennials out there who are fighting for equality, not that I don't fight for equality. I think in a comedic aspect like this, or in a comedic perspective, or in a room, it some things are fair play, And
Right.
Highland. What you were telling me about another comedian? What happened?
Right. Okay. So this is vague memory, but I remember my mom talking to me about this, and like we had this conversation about it. And I will point out that I was completely on your side when we were talking about this before. I was completely on your side on how I thought about it.
Sure.
No, I'm not even kidding. You can ask my
I know,
mom.
I know.
She would probably remember this conversation because it was pretty serious because we got in a heated fucking argument about it.
All right, well, let's get heated right now. What happened?
All right, okay. So basically, there was this comedic show. I can't remember the dude's name. I can't like. It's just very vague. But basically, what happened was he told a rape joke, and a woman in the crowd spoke up and said, "I was raped. I don't find that funny." And he said, "Well, you should have gotten raped more." And that's what I remember about it. And like, it's it's one of those things like you laugh because you're like, "Holy fuck, he did not
It's
just
like the
say
shock
that."
factor.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big shock. And me and James were talking about like how we think is this wrong or right, and I'm saying now that I think the lady, if she knew what she was getting into, if she didn't agree with it, should have just got up and left.
Right.
And I hate saying that because rape is such a fucking awful thing, but at the same time, I understand the comedy and I understand the whole bit and whatever. But at the same time, the way the comedian responded, in my opinion, was fucking terrible. I don't find it witty. I don't think it's fair to just say you should have gotten raped more. Just because, like, to me, like that's not context. That these are two people who do not know each other, who do not know each other's experiences or anything like that. And kind of my argument to it is like, how many rape jokes have you heard told by a comedian? Like just flat out rape jokes, or how many? And my question is to you, like, sort of, I guess maybe you guys, like millennials and Gen Z, like, how many rape jokes have you been told and been like, haha, that was actually really funny? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That was my take on it, and you had a different take on it, right?
Yeah, like rape in general is not funny,
No.
right? Nobody should ever get raped. And the woman who essentially heckled this comedian's show, um, yeah, her actually getting raped is not funny. The whole shock factor of him saying she should have got raped for, in response to her heckling, I think it's pretty funny. And yeah, I think it's the shock factor that is more funny than anything. I mean,
Right. Well, can we take a second and just be like,
yeah,
what? So heckling, right?
mhm, yeah,
Is just interrupting the comedian heckling, is that like what heckling is defined as? Because I feel
yes,
like going boo you suck, or like always interrupting the fucking comedian, like I find, because I was at a comedian show,
mhm,
and this lady actually was heckling the comedian, and he dealt with it really, he dealt with it really well. Like it was a light calm insult, and she was very drunk, got pissed off, and left.
yeah. I
And
mean, heckling is, yeah, just interrupting the show, even if you're in agreement with the comedian and not just like clapping and laughing and saying, yeah, like that, I guess could be considered heckling too, but that's, yeah, just interrupting in general is heckling. Like I was at a show once, and this was like a couple of years ago, where I yelled out this guy's name because this other guy cheated on this comedian's he was the cheatee with this guy's girlfriend,
yeah.
and I yelled out and I said fuck the other guy's name, and that right there, that's heckling as well. So even though I'm on his side, I'm interrupting the show, and that's still considered heckling. And I listened, and the only reason I know that is because I didn't even realize it until like just a few months ago. I listened to a bunch of comedian podcasts of real, like professional, like
Yeah.
mainstream comedians, and that's what they always say is like it doesn't matter what you say, it's the fact of you interrupting the show,
Okay.
which
Just
is
because,
heckling.
like, yeah, because like in my mind, I have my own like perception of heckling. Like, if it's getting up to say, hey, like this really offended me in such a serious, like, if it was a lighthearted joke and whatever, like, sure, fuck it, heckle, like, yeah, at 100%, okay, you're fucking heckling. But like when it comes to like such a deep fucking area of rape, and somebody
Mhm.
speaks up about it, like, in my head, I find it so hard to be like, that's heckling. Like, they did interrupt the comedian. I did, like, obviously, like, that's obviously what happened. But
Mhm.
like, for me to like in my head be like, that's heckling, Like I find it really hard just because it's such a like a it's a hard area of like, well, this person is letting you know how they feel and whatever. And because it's such a like, hey, I got raped, like to say that in front of how many fucking people, it's hard from both sides.
Well, it's just like it's not her show. If let's say that you're that woman and
Right.
you stood up, it's not your show. It's not your place. Nobody gives a shit about you in that moment. Like it's not you. Nobody else paid to see you, do this show. And yeah, there's something to edgy humor and dark humor that people like, and it's partially that shock factor. And I think that comedy, in a way, is a good way to kind of self-soothe from all this stuff that's actually going on in the world. Like,
Sure.
like we had said, right, and obviously you're not anti-Semitic by any means, but you said like, hey, like Jew jokes or Auschwitz jokes or the Holocaust like can be funny, and I agree.
Yeah, yeah, and the
I do.
satire humor, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm not anti-Semitic. I have, I have Jewish friends.
Oh God.
I'm not anti-Semitic, but it's
Yeah.
just I think comedy is a good way to escape from all the bullshit that's going on and to kind of help in, like I said before, kind of chew and make everything a little bit more palatable. Like I'm not saying rape should ever be palatable, but like I think there was a probably, if I were to guess, like some context to like the whole Me Too movement, because you know part half of my generation definitely sides with your generation on a lot of
Mhm.
topics, and so do I.
Yeah.
But I think that when you're at a comedy show, and if it could be good or done really well in a comedic aspect, and somebody's on stage with the mic and doing their comedy act, I think that it's fair game. Now, if somebody goes up and he just says, fuck black people and fuck Jews, and he's just going off on a rant
Right,
like
right.
this,
It's just like racism.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
completely different. And that guy's not a comedian. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think it was just the response that like to me, like, see, the only thing that you found about it funny was the shock factor, which to me isn't witty or smart or like fun. Like, sure, okay, it's funny for 2 seconds, but like if you're using just that pure shock factor of, oh well, normally put, people usually wouldn't say this, but I'll fucking say it.
mhm.
Like that to me, that isn't like it isn't very witty. Like if he came up with a better response to it that was maybe fucking wittier and maybe a little less harsh at the same time. Like I know this is playing in the whole sensitivity fucking bullshit, but I rape is just such a fucking, and with a lot of subjects, like, don't get me wrong, the fucking Holocaust, very personal thing.
Mhm.
But rape is also just such a personal thing that was out of her control as well. So like she had a problem with it, could have gone up and left and said, okay, I know not to see this person anymore. Unfortunately, she's not feeling great after it. Okay. But she stood up and heckled technically, and fucking he kind of just super drilled into her with a kind of, in my opinion, like a fucking lame response of just like, well, this should just happen to you more. It's kind of like, like you, like, you know what I'm like, you, like if it was a Holocaust joke, it's like, oh, more of you should have been killed. Like
I think that's like on the same line of
I
you should
just,
have been raped more,
yeah,
right? I mean, it's the same. You're saying the same thing, but it would just two totally different, like two different subjects.
yeah,
Like it's funny, and obviously I think he said it a little aggressively, because he was interrupted and she tried to make the show about him. Like there was probably,
well, I don't think she's trying to make the show about her. Like,
she did.
let's be honest. If voicing your opinion doesn't try to make something about
There's a
you, that's
time and a
like,
place.
uh, okay, but voicing your opinion doesn't make something about
Yes.
you.
Voicing your opinion during a show that you go to pay to see, you're making it about you, and it's not about you. There probably was another rape victim in that, just by statistics, probably was another rape victim who may have thought it was funny, or at least just shut up and didn't say anything, but it's not her show. She should have totally gone up or gotten up and just left, and she could have written a letter or a review or let the manager of the place know that she didn't feel comfortable with it, and that's that.
Right.
And
Okay,
like,
sure, but like it kind of just feels like you're more shitting on her than the dude. Like I think both sides are more. I think both sides are to blame in this. Like I think he plays a part and she plays a part as well.
yeah, I mean, I think there was a slight aggressive response. Like there was obviously him being annoyed that he was interrupted, and for all we know, it could have been part of the show. It could have been set up. I don't know for sure.
I
You don't
don't
know
think
for
it
sure.
was the way I remember. Like I don't think it was just because like the argument me and my mom had about this. It was pretty defined that this dude was just being a fucking dickhead. Like
So
was just
you keep saying that you and your mom had an argument about it. Did your mom have a different
no. She has no.
outlook?
My mom's opinion on it that I remember was that dude was a fucking dickhead and shouldn't have responded like that and could have responded differently. Um, I just voicing your opinion. I don't think you're making the show all about you. Like it was, maybe a minute. She says, "Okay, I don't like that. I was raped." He says something different. That's a minute over, done with. She wasn't making the entire show about her. That's what I mean. Like it didn't take the entire stage time away from him at all.
In that 1 second of response, or in the few seconds that it happened, she made the show about her. Yeah, the entire show, the entire 45-minute set or 30-minute set, sure, was not her, but in that one aspect of her heckling the show, it was her fault. There's another one where Steve Hofstetter is another one who gets heckled quite a bit, and some people say that he sets these heckles up on purpose because he's real quick and real witty, and he's real like he'll come off on you, and then for that, for 5 minutes, he will make the show just shitting on you for that 5 minutes.
Right.
And there was one joke he said that people who shouldn't, not all people should have kids, and there was a little bit more context to that, but this woman basically, and or he was going off and saying like, if you can't take care of your kids and you have to constantly get help from everybody else, you shouldn't have kids. And this woman of like 9 kids was super offended by it, but she wasn't really listening. She was hearing something different from what he was saying. Like, nobody should have a bunch of kids. And then I think he responded with like, maybe her parents shouldn't have had her or some shit.
Okay.
It's funny. Like, you're making the show about you. And if you're going to pay for something, and in that instance, you're going to make it about you, or you're going to get offended by something, then either leave or like make sure you know what you're getting into. And in my opinion, I think if you're going to a show, if I get invited to a show, I'm like, sure, yeah, a free ticket, whatever. I'm gonna look into who I'm gonna go see.
Right.
If I'm gonna go see Tony Hinchcliffe, for instance, that motherfucker is dark as shit. But I mean, I think he's good in the way he tells his dark and edgy jokes, and a lot of people
Yeah.
don't like him for it. But at least I know what I'm getting into, and I have a moment to be like, okay, like I don't agree with this. I'm not gonna go. He's too much for me,
Yeah.
and
Not everybody does that research.
that's not, I mean, you're going to a comedy show and you should be going to it. I brought up another perspective of like the Book of Mormon done by the creators of South Park. And he although the the creators of South Park, what is it? Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they got they got the backings of the Mormon church, like they
Right.
went to them, and there was still religious people in the crowd that didn't agree with it. And imagine if during the performance by these thespians or actors, right, in the middle of their show or in the middle of one of their musical, they basically said, they disagreed with it and they yelled out like, that's heckling, and now you're
Well,
making the show about them.
as a performer and a comedian, like you kind of it's part of your job. You have to know how to deal with it as well.
But this is your act. Like, you are preparing for this act. This comedian didn't agree with rape. I guarantee you, this guy is not like okay with rape, right?
I'm
I don't
not.
know
Yeah,
for a
I'm not
fact,
gonna
but
have
I
a fucking
doubt it.
opinion on that because I don't know.
Just like these people who are literally saying "fuck God" in a musical number in the Book of Mormon, there's probably one of them. Against statistics, there's probably one of them that does believe in God. But just as them acting a certain way in a show, that doesn't mean that they actually mean fuck off. They're just doing their job, just like this comedian is doing his job. You know, a lot of comedians that do this, they don't do it for hobbies, and if they do, then whatever.
Yeah,
Like
no, I
improv
understand.
people.
I understand it's their job and whatnot. I just like I can't remember how the crowd reacted to that specific rape thing,
Mhm.
to that whole bit or joke or whatever. I just like also your job is dealing with hecklers because it's gonna happen and like how you deal
Yeah,
with it and like that is part of being a comedian. That is part of being a performer. That is part of like just like retail. You don't just sell shit. Part of the fucking job is dealing with shitty ass fucking people. It doesn't say in the description, oh, you fucking deal with shitty fucking people. Well, no, it's just something you deal with because it's part of the job because you don't control how people are going to react to
there is
things you
a
do.
there's a restaurant out there. One of them being they're in like these like real high traffic like Vegas style areas. So
Yeah.
like in Las Vegas, they have a restaurant called Dick's Last Resort, and it's everybody's job to be rude to customers. Everybody's job.
Right, and you go there for that
On
experience and
Yeah, you
it's
go there for
known.
that exactly. And when you go to a comedy show, you're going there to hear somebody else's art form. And
Yeah, you're
it's
going to
not
hear comedy.
right. It's not in my like as an audience member, it's not my job to say something that I agree with. That's not why I'm at the comedy show. If I don't find something funny, I don't laugh. I either leave or I just sit there
Right,
and
but
wait for the next
you're
bit.
I know, and this could also go against me with the whole rape thing, but it's freedom of speech as well for, like you're a big advocate of freedom of speech. Well,
I am.
that's exactly what it is. So it it's
I don't go
like
to a but I don't go to a restaurant to make a mess, right? Like
but
I will accidentally
yeah,
make a
lots of
mess,
people do fucking go to a restaurant and
but
will make a mess.
it's not my job to go to a restaurant and make somebody else's job harder. Just like it's not my job
But
to
it
go
happens all the
to
time though.
like I shouldn't go to an art gallery and draw my own stick figure behind the Mona Lisa or some beautiful art piece that I don't agree with because I think I should make it better.
no, you shouldn't, but it happens all the time. You shouldn't walk into a fucking clothing store and be a dickhead because they don't have your size, but it
I
happens
agree with that.
every day. You shouldn't be a dickhead to the waitress who didn't make the fucking food, but it happens every single day. It's
Of
not
course.
about whether you shouldn't, it's about it happens. Like
It,
it happens.
in
You
all of
know.
these aspects, it just goes to show that people are shitty people.
Yeah. Oh no.
And
100%.
and you're going to a comedy show and dealing and you're listening to somebody else's art form. You just if you don't agree with it, then just leave.
Yeah,
And
there,
if the room didn't respond well to that rape joke, that will have been the last time that that guy would ever go down that hole for himself,
yeah,
and
I
that's
just
just
brought that one up just because like that's the only one that I can clearly remember hearing about and having a full-blown
right.
conversation about, one with rape in comedy and fucking two cuz Russell Peters, he's one that I really like and he's fucking
Yeah.
that dude blows fucking race all the time.
Mhm.
And especially against Indian people cuz he's also Indian.
Right.
Um and like you do
Oh,
know what
Russell
you're getting
Peters is
into.
great.
Yeah, he is great, and you do know what you're getting into, but like, it's like, have you heard them make a fucking rape bit? Have you heard any of these guys make a rape bit?
I mean, not off the top of my head, no.
And I'm sure you can go down a rabbit hole and find it, but like,
Sure.
it's just fucking, for me, like the reason why it pisses me off when like you say sensitive because like we're in a generation of sticking up for people who need to be like who need help, who need to be
Mhm.
stuck up for because they
Yeah.
do not receive enough support as it is.
Sure. Yep.
And sure, in a comedic setting, yes, a lot of that is thrown out the window because it's mostly all satire and it's just jokes and sure somebody's feelings getting hurt most of the time. I'd be like, yeah, okay, their feelings got fucking hurt, whatever. When it comes to again, rape is just such a a thing that they could not control, a thing that is terrible and put lots of stress on their life and that person bringing it up, yeah, shitty. Should the person maybe done research on this comedian? Probably. I don't know if they did or not. I don't know if this comedian had made rape jokes previously. Like that's the thing, like you just don't, it's one of those out of the blue things. Like we've
Well,
heard Auschwitz jokes, we've heard fucking
right.
race jokes all the time. There,
Yep.
it's huge in comedy.
Mhm.
But even if this person knew the comedian, rape is just that gray area where like a lot of comedians I don't think fucking make jokes about it. So even if they knew them going into that, they maybe weren't expecting that.
So comedians can call people racial slurs, but they can't and get real like with these racist type jokes that are
Okay,
blatantly
let me be
jokes.
real specific. Let me be real specific here. Maybe
Okay.
not to the people in the crowd. No.
But then also the people in the crowd should also have respect for the show that they're paying for and just keep their mouth shut until the show's over.
I don't I just
It's not
don't
your
agree with
show.
it.
I
I
understand it.
Yeah,
It's not your show.
sure. I don't agree with that mentality. That's the only
Yeah,
that's,
no, I mean, I get it. Like, yeah, rape is bad entirely. It's I people who rape others is they should fucking get their balls chopped off. But when you're going to a comedy show, like I think that's the differences between with our generation is like, I mean, you're willing to go down the Auschwitz route or Holocaust jokes, but you're not willing to go to like a rape like standpoint. Like they're both just as bad, but more Jews died in the Holocaust or got murdered in the Holocaust than people have been raped since. That's I'm guessing,
yeah, I was gonna
right?
say
Hundreds of
I would probably look up a fucking statistic on that because
sure,
out of 7.5 billion people
right?
and how many rapes happen, and there was about 6 something million killed in the Holocaust. I'd be willing to bet more people have been raped since then.
Regardless of the number, right? We'll look up statistics
Yeah.
100%. Regardless, we're talking about millions upon millions of people of a certain descent getting fucking brutally slaughtered
Yeah. Hmm.
is it is still just as bad
Oh yeah,
as
I'm not
this
equating
one
them.
woman being raped,
It's
right?
really, yes, it's really hard to fucking like even put a
So how can you
comparison.
be okay with one but not the other?
Well, if somebody said that fucking Holocaust joke, like I'm saying that I'm okay if somebody says okay, they say a Holocaust joke and everyone's fucking happy and dandy and whatever.
Right.
If somebody speaks up and says, "Hey, my grandma or somebody was in the Holocaust. I really don't appreciate that." And he goes, "Well, more of you should have died." I'm going to have a fucking problem with that still. Yes. It's that instance of
Yeah, it's fucked up too, bro, but it's not your show.
I just
You
hate that
don't
it's not your show
it's
bullshit. Like I don't
not.
give a fuck how much you pay for the fucking show and you
It's
go like
not.
I don't care if it's like it's kind of just like you can handle it better. It's not your show, but the professional handles it with more of you should have died. Like that's just unwitty. Like it just seems you're slacking on your job.
What about you? What about how come there is no self accountability for yourself in being like you said, being able to walk out of the show if you don't agree with it?
Yeah, they could do that
Or
too.
just
I
keeping your mouth
agree.
shut.
I agree. I hate like I agree. If they don't agree with it, then walk out of the show.
Right.
That is the first response that I agree with. Yes, just walk out of the show. You know this person makes these jokes now. You don't go see them again. You can
Like
write
you're
a
allowed
letter.
to
You can do
yeah.
whatever you need to do.
Yep.
Get it done.
Yeah.
But I also like for in my opinion, it's not really that much of a fucking inherent fucking. Well, you're stealing the show. This happens
No, you're
all the fucking time.
yeah, you're definitely not stealing the show, but you're definitely in that one instance, you are now making that show about you.
Right, and that's I kind of think that's a part of comedy because of how much of it happens. Like I've been to one comedy show, and
Yeah.
there was a person heckling in my
Yeah.
entire life. So like,
Yeah.
it's something that again that just fucking happens. Like that's why I hate it. Like it's not about you shit. Okay, sure, but like a part of you're going to be a comedian. You fucking know people are gonna do this.
Right.
And
Definitely.
is that the comedian's mindset that it's not your fucking show? Like when you listen to them talk about it in the podcast, do they say like it's not your fucking show? Stop heckling.
They've definitely said it before, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, there is a balance. Like they do know that at these shows, people are going to drink. And if you're drinking to that point of being that loud or obnoxious, then there's probably more of a problem with your drinking than there is with the comedian's jokes.
Right, true.
So then
But you
don't drink that
also
much.
you're also a fucking comedian going to a venue that allows drinking, so you know what's gonna
Right.
happen.
Right. But that doesn't make it okay for the person paying for that show to be rude and interrupt the show like that. Like, and again, I don't think comedians, they're not okay with millions of Jews being fucking slaughtered or millions of people being raped throughout the world. Like, I
It,
guarantee you that these
it
people
wasn't
don't
even that
agree with it.
perspective. It wasn't even like that dude is okay with rape.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, you're going to somebody's like show. Like, it doesn't. It's just their show. This isn't how people. I guarantee you that's not how these comedians actually think. Like, I don't think
No,
Bobby Lee
probably
actually thinks that his gay feature opening up for him is an
no,
actual F word slur.
no, probably not. And even if those people understand it, they still may find it offensive if they're willing to speak up about it during the
Yeah,
show. Like I'm sure they understand that. Like I'm sure they're smart, sensible people and can understand that
mhm.
these people aren't fucking neo Nazis and fucking rape advocates. But how many times, like you can still get offended by a joke and somebody doesn't, fucking agree with it, or they say something and they're like, okay, well, I don't agree with that, but I know you don't advocate rape, but why'd you make a rape joke?
Well, I think again, I wish I was a comedian and I could tell you, but from what I think I know, I think it's yeah, the shock factor, him lashing out back at him being heckled. Like I think there's a few more ingredients to this cocktail that we don't necessarily
Yeah, no,
understand.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's a lot of
Um,
context missing.
and real quick, you had mentioned about free speech. It's like, yes, free speech. I'm definitely stand behind,
Right.
but I can't go into a Macy's and just start spouting my free speech because that's not the place to do it. You technically, in a private establishment, although you have free speech, you don't have
Well, you can be
the
removed
right
from the
to just
area.
yeah, you get removed. Therefore, it's not allowed, right?
Right,
So
but
in private
you
business,
don't get removed from the comedian's show.
you do. You absolutely can for heckling.
Oh, well, for heckling, yeah.
So therefore,
Sure.
you don't really have free speech in a private establishment. You
Yeah,
have free speech in public areas like a public library, for instance. And
for,
that's and I say public libraries specifically because we already know that public easements and sidewalks you're allowed to have free speech. And I'm just trying to say in like another confined area like a public library, which is technically a public space, I can walk in there with a sign that says abortion should be illegal, for instance, or abortion should be legal, you know.
right.
So,
It,
and I'm just and I say that as just,
no, as an example, of course.
yeah.
Fucking, but like, I, I just like you're not gonna get removed from a fucking show for
You
saying, hey, I
can.
don't agree with that joke.
Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can.
You can. Have you seen it happen? I've never the show I was at. This lady was heckling the fucking comedian Jerry D for like half an hour.
Which makes me
No one fucking touched her. She was not staged. She was pissed drunk, and her husband was fucking infuriated. I was right beside her. He was
well,
not
which makes me
happy.
think, yeah, well, I mean, the comedian was probably doing a really good job
Yeah, oh,
at combating her
he was
and making
doing
it funny. So until like there's a point where like he really does need like Steve Hofstetter, that same comedian who deals with hecklers, and I'm pretty sure he is that type of comedian. And he's really witty, and he basically there are certain jokes that he doesn't like, certain bits that he doesn't want interrupted. But then at the end, he will take in comments at the end because he has really good crowd work. And in that instance, that comedian was probably thriving off of it, right?
Oh yeah,
Which is
no, he was ignoring it for a little bit there, then firing
mhm,
back at her, and then ignoring it, then firing it back.
yeah,
And he's a comedian. I mean, he has a fucking a really successful show called Mr. D
yeah.
in Canada. And he's really good at what he does. And like sure it's not the same as the rape thing, but like the way he handled it was just like he didn't use the whole fucking shock factor. He was fucking witty about it. He was fast as shit. He like the whole crowd was fucking ablaze over it because it was funny as shit, and it wasn't like fucking tearing into her personal life. Like he would still be able to like get the crowd roaring with some witty shit that wasn't like just shitting down her fucking throat for half an hour.
But if this comedian had been in Canada, he probably could have very well gotten in trouble for saying that.
The whole rape thing?
Yeah, because we know that
He
you're
could
not
have,
allowed to
sure.
have that type of speech in Canada, but it's different
Well,
in the States.
with the comedian stuff, I don't know, because like you were saying with the private stuff, I actually have no idea, because there could have been. I'll look into it after, because there could have
Yeah.
been. I'm sure there's been jokes in Canada that have been would be considered hate speech and have never gotten.
You might even find a comedian or two that have actually gotten arrested for their type of comedic style, you know? It's probably happened.
Maybe it really. I think it really depends, because like I think the law also sees comedy the way more you see it than the way I do. Like with the
Yeah.
whole, because I've just never heard of anybody, like I know it's a law, but I've never heard of fucking anyone getting shit fucked for hate speech, especially a comedy, or arrested for hate speech, especially with comedic shit. Hasn't There's been people arrested in America for hate speech or for saying shit in America?
Yeah, I mean, like, you're not allowed to, like, incite violence, right? And I think there's certain speech that is probably not allowed. Inciting violence, for one, is 100% it, or, stock market manipulation. That's another type of speech that's not
Well,
allowed.
yeah, of course. No, that's not supposed to be. Well, okay,
You
you say
know?
it's not allowed, but like, I
But
mean,
people do it.
yeah, the fucking biggest people do it.
Yeah, yeah, like Elon
Elon
Musk talking
Musk,
about
he's the worst.
Dogecoin, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I think there's a gray area within that type of speech, and like how he's wording it, like him advocating in Dogecoin and him saying like, "Oh, I believe in Dogecoin, this and that." Like, it's
Oh,
one thing, but if he's
he's done
saying
it
like,
multiple times with a bunch of shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, probably,
Anyways,
yeah,
that is so. I guess that is one of the things
yeah,
we
sure.
disagree on with maybe our generational gap. Let us know in the fucking comments if you
Yeah,
guys, what, maybe how old you are, and or what millennial or Gen Z, what category you're under, and what you think
right.
about the whole comedy thing, the area of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're doing the fucking outro today. We're already at an hour.
I know we're over an hour now. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I think we are gonna have Highland do the intros for, well, at least the foreseeable future, until he gets tired of doing the outros. Like I got tired of doing the intros, and like I got tired of doing the intros. I
We're getting
wanted to
more
switch
views because
things
my
up.
intros.
Yeah, 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 we'll see. But we're gonna fucking lose viewers because they're gonna be like, Highland is too conservative for us, or he's too liberal.
Highland is too conservative.
I
If
meant liberal.
if they
Island is too
listen to any,
progressive for us. He can't take a joke.
yeah, not even fucking liberal, bro. Throw me far leftist. Call me
Yeah.
socialist. Don't even put me in liberal, bro.
Yo, if you got pissed off, let us fucking know. If you fucking enjoyed or who you agreed with, let us know. Either way, look, comedians are comedians. People who aren't comedians, and that's just the way it is. Drop us a like as always and a subscription. We love you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Peace.